Good morning, Secretaries-elect. Thank you for joining this training session. I'm Miriam MacLeod, your district trainer, and joining me on the phone is our district governor-elect, Stella Roy. Good morning, Stella.
Good morning. Nice to see you.
And we're so delighted that you could take some time this morning. You notice in your go-to training invitation there are 3 presentations included for you, and those are the 3 presentations that we will be referring to this morning. This is our 3rd training session, and thank you, Stella, for taking the first one solo. I took the second one, which was lunchtime Thursday, and we did it in just over an hour. So we'll certainly aiming for that target again. It's a lot of information. We didn't give folks a whole lot of space to ask questions or make comments. I'm thinking as a Saturday morning, if we wanted to take an extra 5 or 6 minutes to do that, it's not quite the same amount of crush time as it is Thursday at lunch. So if you want to ask a question, you can simply raise your hand, and there's a little button that shows that you can raise your hand with a question. And there's also a little button that shows that you can chat. Now, I don't know if my screen's exactly the same as yours, whereas I'm the presenter. But if you wanted to take a second, can you see where you can raise your hand if you have a question? Amy, do you want to try hitting that raised hand and see if we can see that?
Oh, yeah.
Amy's hand has gone up. So, Amy, you just clicked, I think, beside your name to raise your hand. Is that right? Oh, we got everyone on mute?
Yes, I did. Yep.
Yes. Oh, perfect. And so perfect. If you have,
I just muted myself and I muted.
Perfect, and that's a great idea. So if you have a question, Stella and I will keep our eyes peeled for that. If you have a comment, you can also type in. Oh, Daryl practiced. Good on you, Daryl. And again, if you have a chat comment, I'll just click my screen to show that Toinette has typed good morning. Looks like Stella has typed hello everyone, and you can type the message there. So it's a pretty user-friendly system, and we do try to make it as interactive as possible. But I will be perfectly frank, this training session is definitely an information push to you to get you oriented and started with all the different sites, all the different venues for information, and a little bit about communication. So without further ado, we've got no assistant district governor joining us this morning, unfortunately, but we try to have one on the phone when we can. So we're delighted to have the 3 of you aboard. Thanks so much. So our agenda is relatively straightforward. We'll talk a little bit about GoToMeeting, introduction of Stella. See, we're flying through this already. Gary Huang, our Rotary International President. Stella will take us through the theme and citation, and then I'll take us through the rest of the presentation to talk about the calendar, preparing for pets and sets, learning a bit more about Rotary Club Central. We have a separate presentation on that, and also the self-directed learning link that I hope everyone has received. If you haven't received username and password, oh, Deanne Lagarde is joining us. That's great.
Oh, cool.
Let's see if Deanne has made it in yet. She's just in the middle of logging in.
Miriam, while you're doing that, can you just check you are recording? Because I'm not certain that it's actually...
It is, according to my screen, it says I am recording. I can hit a button that says stop recording.
No, don't do that.
So, perfect. And so, a third presentation. Again, these 2 are a little bit shorter. It's about accessing self-directed learning. And we'll finish this presentation telling you about what's next. And as I mentioned, we're certainly open to any comments or questions all the way through. So, Stella, I will give you this part to tell us about Light Up Rotary.
Okay, well, it's my pleasure, and welcome everybody. And it looks like Diane's with us, so I'm really excited to see that. So that's great. So Paul and I were lucky enough to go to San Diego and in January, and we met President Gary Huang and his wife Corinna, and he unveiled our theme for the year, and it's going to be, so this is going to be for your Rotary year, which begins July 1st, goes to June 30th. Hi, Diane. So, so he unveiled the theme, which is going to be Light Up Rotary. So President Gary is from Taiwan, and he says to us, he says, how you light up Rotary is up to you. You know where your strengths are, and you know where your community needs you. But he does say there's so many problems in the world, it's really easy to get overwhelmed. And you may well sit there and say, I just can't do anything because there's too much to do. But he says, Confucius says, if I light one candle and you light one candle, then 1.2 million Rotarians around the world can light a candle, and we can really do some great work in Rotary. So he has a great message, I think, and he's a very exciting man. Can we have the next slide, please?
Cool. Sorry, there we go.
So this is Paul and I meeting Gary and his wife Corinna. This is the new theme scarf and the new theme tie, and I will actually have a grey jacket. They brought back the jackets this year. There was great excitement in San Diego because the jackets didn't arrive, which I guess is the first time ever in the history of Rotary. So it has actually arrived at my doorstep now. And for women, it was 5'6" and above and 5'6" and below. So it doesn't quite fit, but we're going to move that and hopefully before July 1st. Next slide, please. And you can bring up all of them. So finally, he says that he'd like us to light up Rotary by sharing our service stories, strengthening our clubs, and letting our light shine in our 34,000 communities around the world, and that our commitment and our service above self will light up the world. So the only other thing I like to talk about always, and you'll see this a lot with me, is this RI strategic plan, because I think it does make us very proud to be Rotarians. And it really does sum it up, I think. So the center of this strategic plan says your elevator speech. So it would say that we're a worldwide network of inspired individuals who translate our passion into relevant social causes and to change lives in communities. Now, the bottom five, which you can arrow maybe Miriam for me, the bottom five sort of are core values of a Rotarian. So if you met another Rotarian, you would know that they put service above self. I think, we all, that is one thing that unites us all, that we are all devoted to service. The second one is fellowship. And, if you go to another Rotary meeting or if you meet another Rotarian, they're going to welcome you to the best of their ability, and you know that they're going to be friendly with you. Diversity, I think, is an interesting part of Rotary. It's not just diversity of culture or of creed, but I also think if you put 7 Rotarians in a room and you all have completely different backgrounds or ideas about something, I believe that Rotarians can come to consensus. I think we're good at doing that. We can look at the big picture and not necessarily focus on our own personal things. And when we do that, we can do great things because we can come to consensus and then we can move forward and do that. And I really believe that that is a trait of a Rotarian. Integrity has always been at the fundamental part of Rotarians with the 4-way test, with our high ethical standards, the code of ethics. So I think, it goes without saying for us as Rotarians that if we meet another Rotarian, there's integrity. And leadership, if you are a good leader, then, we've got lots to learn from you in Rotary. And if you're not a good leader, I do believe there's lots of opportunities to develop leadership skills by just even at your club, standing up and speaking or leading a project. And also, I think, at the district level and things too. And then there's Rotary Leadership Institute, which helps with some of that as well. So those 5 things at the bottom, I would think encompass all Rotarians. And then the 3 things at the top of this circle is what Rotary International is trying to do for you. So Rotary International does supply us with support mechanisms for membership. Support and strengthening clubs is really improving membership. They do provide us with, papers and lots of help from even at the zone level if we need it to support strengthening clubs. the new foundation, we're in the new future vision system of the foundation, which is called the Rotary Foundation now. But the foundation has been commended for being able to give out money. We've won awards for the ability to steward the money, but also to actually get the money back out to communities. So I think sometimes lots of people can collect money in foundations, but they're not as good at distributing the money. And we have Rotary International has won, or the Rotary Foundation, part of Rotary International, has won awards for that ability in the new future vision. And finally, the enhanced public image and awareness is Rotary has now come up with a new brand center. If you go to rotary.org, they have spent quite a bit of time and energy looking at the new brand, trying to get us to be more consistent with what we're doing, so that when people see the Rotary wheel, they recognize Rotary. So I think that's what I wanted to say. I don't have a lot in this presentation on the actual presidential citation, which is something that all the clubs can do every year. Gary Juan's presidential citation is very challenging, and so I'm working with the district team to give another citation that will be based on Gary's citation, but a little easier to attain, because we have a little bit of a concern that he's made it a little difficult for North American clubs to obtain the citation this year. So if your club is interested in that, and you see the one that's been sent to you, don't I would say freak out about it. We will be working on that for you. So thanks, Miriam. I think that's my presentation, and we'll move over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Stella. And we'll move along with the club secretary responsibilities. So we have given you a number of materials. Stella was talking about that at the beginning. You either receive from your president or perhaps via mail or directly from Stella at a mini conference, but you have a coil binder that we're asking you to take with you when you go to the Old Orchard Inn for the Pets and Sets training. And there's a president and a secretary manual for that. Plus, there is a manual that Rotary International creates. That manual is certainly available online at rotary.org in their document repository. So we did purchase and send them along this year, but as Stella alluded in a previous conversation, we're thinking about going paperless. So that's a big part of it. We do have this go-to training available for pretty much, anyone can use. The assistant governors use it the most. The district governor uses it for board meetings and things like that. And if there's a reason that you would like to use go-to training, all you need to do is contact us, and we'll give you a short orientation about how to get in there and use it. And the responsibilities are really being communication prime. And I think many people would say I'm controversial saying this, but I'm going to say it again, and it's that the president has a very important role, but really it's the secretary that's the glue, and that role, I would even argue, is more important than the president, because the secretary has the skill and the requirement to be the communications prime for the club, and that's a huge role. And one that we will do our best to help you with if you run into anything. So the other responsibilities, accountable to the club president, record keeping, and that whole glue, as I mentioned, to keep club members informed of activities going on. You'll also be receiving emails from your assistant governor, from our Rotary admin office that's located here in St. John's, Newfoundland, and they're a part-time office that does I would almost argue full-time work for us, supporting the 50-plus clubs that we have in our district. And also you will get emails, if not from Stella directly, but from her district secretary, who is Linda Meldrum. There are a number of reports that RI looks for on a regular basis. And of course, that's you to administer those deadlines, and communication within the club in general to carry that information back and forth to district and from district to your club. Then, of course, it seems hard to imagine now, but of course, a year from now, it'll be time for you to be preparing your successor with documentation, with background information, whatever they need to have a smooth year. So, an idea of the meetings that you'll need to record minutes for or at least attend. There is what's called the President's Council meeting that I believe all assistant governors try to have at least quarterly, if not more often. Sometimes those meetings are in person, sometimes they're a conference call over the phone. I know myself, when I was secretary, our president traveled a fair bit, and I attended a few of those meetings, and I found them very helpful to, again, I'll just say, give me a broad picture of what's going on. So not mandatory, certainly, not an expectation, but something that I might suggest you could consider attending a meeting or two throughout the year. Your club board meetings are a different story. Those probably happen monthly, and careful minutes will need to be kept for that, so everybody knows what their action items are from meeting to meeting, and then they can start working on them 2 days before the next meeting. There's credential certificates for the district convention to so we can understand who the voting people are from your club, and also who's the president and secretary-elect. We do bill clubs for 2 registration fees, and we support travel for the president and secretary-elect. And there's correspondence that will come from a wide variety. I remember one of my most interesting pieces of correspondence came from the Rose Bowl parade in Pasadena, wondering if our Rotary Club would be interested in sponsoring a float. So you never know what kind of correspondence you're going to get. And of course, a delegation is a great way to attract and train a successor. So you could take 1 or 2 of those and get some assistance with that, and that's certainly a possibility that is open to every secretary. Here on slide 11, it has some of those deadlines that will come your way. The dues are changing a little bit this year in that clubs have 4 months to pay their dues, and then after that time, Rotary International will consider them no longer members of Rotary International. They will decommission the club and charge $15 per member to get the club going again. So I guess I have to admit, I was surprised to hear that, and it made me wonder, you know, as a group of professionals, maybe we're just so busy, we're playing a bit fast and loose with those deadlines. So I guess Rotary is using a bit of a carrot and a stick approach to really encourage people to pay those dues, pay those dues as close as possible to the July 1 and January 1 deadlines. I think in terms of busyness in our lives, we could not have worse dates than those for being due dates, but remember, it's a 4-month window. So if those could be paid by the end of July and the end of January, no one would complain about that, and I think that is a doable ask. There's monthly attendance reports. Those are available in Club Runner. I guess I would say that most of us in the Rotary world are steering away from attendance. It's more understanding who our actual members are, and so that's the type of information that we're looking for as a district, and Rotary International is looking for as well. I've got a couple of slides to talk about that admin work there on Club Runner. If you have a change in membership, that happens, of course. We hope that you're increasing your membership and growing your clubs. We talk about membership so very much because it's critical to the health of Rotary. But if you have a new member coming in, or if a member leaves for whatever reason, recording that in a timely fashion is important. We'll talk about that. There's the visiting Rotarian report card, and that's not so much, I guess, it may just be a little bit of a conversation that you have I don't know if it really should be an attendance card versus a report card, but anyway, that's what that is. Rotary, the Rotary relocation form. So if someone moves, it's an instant way to get them reconnected, or connected, I should say, with their new community. There's a form that can go with that. Club information changes if you move to a new venue, for example, and official directory information, and that's due on December 31st to make sure that the right president and secretary-elect's names show up in there to get contacted. Stella made a great observation that if that deadline is missed, it's certainly not the end of the world, but the existing president and secretary names will be left in for one more year, and they will get the correspondence from, for example, Pasadena, California, and the Rose Bowl Parade. So if you do not have a Club Runner website, whether you do or whether you don't, it's fairly straightforward. You can log into the district website, click on admin and go to membership, click on your club and members, and then on the right is the edit members area. And it's an interesting relationship that Club Runner has created with Rotary and the Rotary world. Some questions we've had about Club Runner, if your clubs aren't using it, is how much does it cost? And it's a sliding scale depending on membership. Many members, many clubs, I should say, are Club Runner members already. I'd say the majority of them are. And information on Club Runner uploads to Rotary.org. But if a secretary goes to Rotary.org and says we've got a new member, interestingly enough, the information push does not come down to Club Runner. So just an interesting distinction to have for those of you who use Club Runner or not. If you have Club Runner site, you click on admin, go to membership, click on members, and there's an edit members area. So just to compare the two, it's quite similar, but you'll need to get credentials if you don't have a Club Runner site. Because if you do have a Club Runner website, your username and password works for both the district and your own site. And again, that information uploads to Rotary.org. Here's a snapshot of the Halifax Harborside Club Runner site. Very dynamic site. Oops. That seems like a repeat there. Not sure why that's there. So we'll just go flying past it. And there's the district website. Again, another dynamic site with a photo of our handsome DG, Greg Caldwell, inviting you to come to the Annapolis Valley. And I will encourage you as secretary-elects to encourage your members to come to the Annapolis Valley and register. It's a pretty powerful experience going to a district conference, and it tends to make Rotarians pretty engaged and help them understand the true linkages that can happen from being a Rotarian. So if folks want to come, they're more than welcome. The dates are there, fabulous photos there, and they can click right here for details and registration.
Miriam, can I comment on that slide 1 sec?
Oh, for sure.
Just the member area is where you would go to.
Thanks.
Yeah, there. So
sorry, I got distracted by the picture, Stella. You're right.
If you want to go to, and on the other one, it was a log in, log out at the club one. It was more log in on the right hand side. Yeah, so it's just slightly different in the two formats. That's all.
Right on. Thanks, Stella, for grounding me on that one. So here's an example inside the district website. I hope you don't find those little graphics confusing. It basically just means that these clubs don't have club runners. And they're not integrated with the district site if they do have Club Runner. Everyone with the check marks are basically part of the information flow. That's all that means, and it's a great way to click in. You can see who the members are in different clubs. You can get their contact information, and every once in a while that comes in really handy, especially when you meet different people in district conference. It's the quickest way to get in touch with them is to log into Club Runner at the district and find them again. So focusing on what I should be talking about with the Club Runner site, here's the section where it shows you how to add a new member. So this is a Club Runner site. Looks like it's for, and this could be either, sorry, I was going to say it could be district or could be your own club site, but you basically just need to select your club, and then click on add a new member, and that's and then it will give you this empty screen. It's a little bit small to read, but you would type in their name. Everything in red is of course mandatory, the date they joined, their username and password, and usually we make it a little bit simple there, and then we click on add a member. And Stella, is the sponsor information in here?
Next page.
That's the next page. Let us go to the next page. Right on. Go ahead, Stella.
I was going to say, you have to enter the member first. And once, so suppose I had just been entered, I was a new member, and this is my profile. So you go to Rotary in the profile, see how it says personal Rotary biography, commitment, settings, and privacy. You go to Rotary in the profile, and then if you go down here, you as the entering person can enter their sponsorship. So you need to do that so that Rotary International knows who is sponsoring members, because they're going to give awards out at the end of next year for people who are sponsoring Rotarians. You're going to get sent different colored things for behind your name badge. If you're sponsoring 1 to 3 or 3 to 5 or more than 6 members, you're going to get a different color. It's a background to your Rotary pin to wear to show that you sponsor members and as a reward for sponsoring members.
And if I'm not mistaken, people who bring 10 members to Rotary can go to dinner with President Gary Huang in Sydney. Is that right?
It's actually in Sao Paulo. If they can make their way to Sao Paulo, they can have supper with Gary Huang. If they bring 6, I think it's 7 members.
Oh, it's only
but
7.
They only have to pay to get to Sao Paulo to have the dinner.
And he'll buy them dinner. So anyway, I'm laughing a little bit, but really it's a very nice gesture to recognize people who are working hard to grow their club. So I shouldn't be so saucy. So incorporation, I already quickly touched on that. It's critical to pay the annual fee to retain status at the provincial registry that we have. And incorporation fees cover a variety of things, such as district membership. Sorry, I hit that button too fast. District membership, and some of the district fees go toward our insurance policy that protect Rotarians from liability for any Rotary events. So I know sometimes I think maybe we feel at district that we're often having to justify our existence. Perhaps people wonder what district does because it's not quite as visible. But of course, one of the main things, the easiest things to point to is that District 7820 insurance policy that covers all of us as Rotarians in Nova Scotia, PEI, and Newfoundland. So very, very worthwhile money well spent, especially in this day and age for sure, not to mention all the other things that happen from District. But that one's a right plain one. So we're going to kind of run through the calendar now, and we'll see all the different things that will push the Secretary to do this and that. So we hope by now, so we'll say this should have happened, is that you've got your manual from your President-elect or via the mail. You've had an opportunity to look at the Secretary-elect training requirements, and this is the first segment of them. We'll go into that in a little more detail in this presentation. And get to know your assistant governor. We are missing one in the western Newfoundland area at the moment, but once we get that position filled, that person is a great person who knows information and dates, and if he doesn't know it or if she doesn't know it, she will get it for you.
Miriam, you and I will act as that for now.
That's right, yeah, for sure. So Western Newfoundland, come to me, come to Stella, and we'll share, we'll answer any questions that we possibly can for sure. In March, so Stella was on the road, heavy travel in March, a fabulous winter month for travel, wasn't it, Stella? And went to some mini conferences. I think there was, the last one did get postponed because of the weather, but that's got rescheduled. You get your district pets and sets orientation book. I see that typo there now. Sorry, pets and sets. Help the President-elect fill in goals at Rotary Club Central. I'll dig into that in more detail shortly. Begin meeting with the outgoing secretary. Initiate board and attend, right? Have meetings with the incoming executive and meet with the current folks. And please register for district convention. So if you haven't done that already, don't panic. You can do it today. So here we go. We have a Rotary Leadership Institute in Fredericton coming up on the 26th. Very powerful educational time. Great way to meet different Rotarians. Located in Fredericton there on the 26th. There's more information about that on the district website, and we certainly encourage everyone to attend who can. There's the online sets training. So we've had the webinars like we're having this morning. And also you'll see there's a number of courses. And just to take a moment to highlight the training strategy that we have this year, it's a pretty new year, in that for years and years we have brought people together, usually at a hotel, for a day plus of training. So it usually you needed at least one overnight, if not two, in Newfoundland. And it was flying the district trainer and flying the district governor elects around the region. And travel costs were getting such, and hotel costs were getting such, that we really had to revise that if we were going to be fiscally responsible with the resources that we have. So thanks to Jim Fitt, and I'll get into detail with what he's given us, or what he's provided for us, we thought it would be much more cost effective if we could use this go-to-training tool, and people can be in the comfort of their offices and homes, get the time for training, and not have as much time away from family, not have as much drain on your own resources, because no matter what, you know, the district can't cover every particular cost. So that's why we're taking this approach. And we'll be very interested when we speak with you in May and throughout your year as secretary to understand how you felt about this approach, if you felt it was the right approach. I think financially it's one that we had to take, but if there's, I guess, a huge hue and cry that we've got to get together more, then that's something that we'll have to listen to as well. So it's a pretty different training that you're going through this year, and it's mostly the Rotary Academy that's made things so different, and a whole presentation with 10 slides is upcoming on that. So just wanted to outline the philosophy behind that. Continue joint meetings with outgoing executive, and work with the treasurer and the president to set up the budget so dues can be set in case they need to go up or down a little bit. This slide is in a funny spot. We're going to go to May, and we're going to attend Pets and Sets Thursday pre-convention. So that is the face-to-face time. We tacked it on with the convention, so it's not 2 trips for presidents and secretaries-elect. It's 1 trip and then going right into convention. So actually some extra time together, if you will, face-to-face, and hopefully with some other members of your club joining you. District convention in May, and review the membership list. There's always some Rotarians that maybe need to be reconsidered if they are indeed truly active, good Rotarians to keep on the list. And again, always a great time to focus on membership and bringing new people into the fold. June, can you believe it? We're talking about June, which I do believe will be when all of our snow melts. But the president-elect will have their committee in place and the goals established. Offer assistance to the president-elect as they request, so really cementing that relationship. As you know, I think you'll agree with me when I'll say anything amazing that happens is based on powerful relationships. So the president and secretary-elect really do need to have a bit of a hand-in-glove relationship going on there. Finalizing the budget. Turning and looking at that secretary and recognizing all the work that they did, because their time is done at the end of June, and organize the person to update the club webpage, send out bulletins, and update club social media for you. Of course, as secretary, you're welcome to take all that on. Lots and lots of time going into that, and managing emails and meetings and typing minutes. So certainly we would recommend to you to delegate some of that to the right members and keep them engaged as well, rather than trying to do it all yourself. Here it is. July 1st has arrived. You can register at Member Access. I'm not quite sure why all of our URL hyperlinks are so faded there, but they are throughout the presentation. Sorry about that. But Rotary.org, you can register now. In fact, I do believe, as Secretaries-elect. Should have been able to have access if your name was given to Rotary International by March the 1st. So you can go in now, and you can go in and be club secretary, take a look, make sure your president-elect is also registered, and you'll probably find a secretary. That's what your year will be, is reminding the president of where they need to be and what they need to do, and helping them get it done. Make sure those dues are paid. Remember, you've got a 4-month window, and then it's like the guillotine comes down. District dues need to be paid, and that maintains insurance coverage. First board meeting in July. Hopefully, again, this is what we thought these foundational months were for, to set the tone. So July 1st, there's not a whole lot of time going into prep, that it's now execution on July 1st. We got some correspondence. Remember the Rose Bowl Parade. You've got your manual of procedure from the previous secretary and your official directory from RI, and hopefully they've received your name in time, so you are indeed the secretary of note in that official directory. August, Stella will come and visit your club, or I shouldn't say that she's going to get all 56 clubs squeezed in the month of August, but that's when the visitations will start. Usually, I think, Stella, you start in Newfoundland, don't you?
I do. August 19th.
August 19th. Awesome. So we'll call it a special visit of the district governor, who is bringing again the RI president, Gary Huang's message to all club members who have attended. And that meeting is only for the district governor. So we shouldn't have the district governor sandwiched in with 5 or 6 minutes and then somebody coming in to talk about a charitable thing in the community, or housing starts in your community or something like that. It's only for the DG's visit. She will also, DG Stella will also pop in to meet the board, attend a board meeting if she can, and those times she works very hard with the assistant governors in the area to get that all set up. And her accommodation does need to be booked for those club visits. And clubs know year after year, although membership and leadership changes year after year, that clubs will purchase 1 night's accommodation cost for the DG visit. And the assistant governor will accompany Stella to those board meetings and formal club meetings as much as their schedule allows. Anything you wanted to add in there for us, Stella?
No, I think the assistant governor will do all the organisation for us. I don't think the clubs necessarily have to worry too much about where we're staying and what we're doing. And we are as economical as we can be. We jam it all in really quickly so that we don't spend money we don't have to spend. We're very conscious of that. We're really looking forward to coming. That's the whole reason why I'm district governor, just to come and meet you all. I'm just so excited to do that. So that's why I'm doing this job.
Yeah, and carry all the good ideas around from club to club. And fiscal responsibility. I'll tell you, if we were running the U.S., they would be in surplus by now, that's for sure. September, October, in the fall time frame, the summer's over. I hate the way these slides go, Stella, but anyway, September, October, we encourage the clubs to send members to a Rotary Leadership Institute plan for October. I do believe it's located in Truro, and all of that, if anything changes, because that is in the future, all of that is available on the district website, which again, you've probably been visiting as secretary several times a month. President Council meetings, attend when you can, call and record monthly board meetings, and again, that blessed correspondence. November, December, it's time to think about elections. So we need to get that succession plan in place, get a new president-elect and secretary-elect. Contact information for those people goes to the admin office, and you and or they will put that into Club Runner, either club or district. That needs to be sent to the admin office and filled out on Club Runner for December 15th. That's a Rotary International deadline. As close to that as possible is excellent. Update the club membership database, and we've talked about that. And don't forget what's coming up in January, those semi-annual district dues, and also for Rotary International. Club elections, names are in, and access becomes available to those new elected leaders. For March, I should say. Make sure incoming president and secretary are aware of training requirements. So a go-to-meeting sessions, a mini-conference, the day before the convention, and also I guess I'll mention we've got the Rotary Academy as well, but I'll go into detail. You may be called upon, if your time and your interests allow, to help with planning the mini-conference in your area. And of course, awards, right? There'll be some recognition that you want to give to folks. You may recognize a Paul Harris Fellow or two from your club, and you can assist the president with naming and ordering those award recipients. I guess you won't order the award recipient. They should be there in the beginning. March, April, May. Begin work with the incoming secretary, because remember, you're going to get a big thank you coming up because you've been working so hard. Ensure incoming officers are registered for the district convention. That's going to be you, Stella. It's going to be in Halifax. Is that right?
Yes, it is. In April.
Oh, in April.
Yes, it's a month earlier.
I did not know that.
Cheaper. It was cheaper in the hotel. Half price in the hotel.
Good decision. Hopefully we will not have an April that looked like this one. Board meetings are still happening. Joint president meetings are still happening. And it's, again, you're a cheerleader as a communication prime with your club, and you're encouraging all members to consider coming to the Rotary Convention in Halifax. So remember, that's next year's one in Halifax. This year's that you'll be attending for sure is in Wolfville, just not to get too confusing there with this time that's coming up on us.
Yeah.
Presidential citation. If you are a super club with cape and tights, you will get that presidential citation. You may get a district award instead for being a bit more realistic, shall we say. And remember, foundation grants, if you're applying for any of the Rotary Foundation grants through the foundation chair, this is a deadline time in April.
April 15th, yes, and May 15th for scholarships.
Right on. Records go to the incoming secretary. We're working very hard to make sure that there are fewer and fewer boxes of papers handed over, and more of it is recorded online and for analysis, for posterity. More on that in a minute. And help the president deliver those awards that you mailed out for the few months in advance. And that is it. That's your year done, and it hasn't even started yet. How about them apples? That went really fast, as it will. So this is your go-to training, your secretary-elect training part 1. We are doing our best to not keep them quite as long as an hour and a half, and this is our final one. We may decide we need to do an additional one if we've missed a lot of secretaries, but those were the times that we booked for Atlantic Standard Time. And the second bit of training, we would hope that presidents and secretaries-elect were attending the mini conferences in their area. And a reminder to folks like Amy is that Wednesday evening at the conference, there's a mini conference for you and a reception. You're funded for that evening, and anyone can join, of course, but there's only funding for outlying Newfoundlanders. These were the dates. March 31st, thanks to inclement weather, got pushed ahead to next Monday. Is that right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Right on. So if folks are in the Truro area on Monday, why not pop into a mini conference? It'll only help you learn more. And Stella, I should say, has all that meeting information, if that actually is realistic for anybody on the call this morning. Rotary Academy, a quick visit on that, and as I mentioned, we'll have a bit more of a presentation on that. Again, these were things that we had tried to do live with people. You can go on the YouTube site and look for the District 7820 channel, and you will see that these modules were trained last year live. There was a little different one in that we introduced the time for Rotary this time last year. We were really promoting that. So Doug Logan has led a session with that you can listen to on the YouTube channel. But again, it was scheduling people's time, and we wanted to respect people's busy schedules and busy calendars. So we've worked with Jim Fitt, a Rotarian from the New Glasgow area, who has online training as his business, and he has developed these 6 courses. Folks are getting into those courses now. I think we were a bit ambitious, and we had hoped people would finish them by this time. But I think people are starting them now, which is, of course, no problem. These 6, because we're not going to haul away the username and password, but I would say that while the weather is poor, and if you have 45 minutes times 6, you'll have all of these courses done. As secretaries-elect, I can't stress the club administration and the Rotary Club Central. Those two are foundational, critical, important, pick an adjective. Those are the two best courses for you, but we would definitely encourage you as an executive member in your club and the Communications Prime, please take all 6 courses. If you have any trouble accessing that, Jim Goit is the man who will send you your username and password. So please email me or Stella, and we'll forward you on to Jim Goit, and he'll make sure that you can get in there. Then the final Secretary-elect training, Presidents and Secretaries-elect will convene at the Old Orchard Inn in Wolfville. I think we even know the name of the room is the Blomendon Room, but don't worry, we'll find you. And we'll have a separate agenda for you, separate sessions for presidents and secretaries to brainstorm from across the district, and then groups will meet with their assistant governors to talk about President's Council. So a little bit of leadership, a little bit of face-to-face training, and not quite the same information push that we're happening. It's the real interactive stuff that's going to be that day, and I know it's be my first time training it, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Miriam, can I talk to that just briefly?
Please.
Just if you have done those other courses, it will make it so much better, because I think any discussion we have will be very much around the courses, and so if you haven't done the background work, it'll be, that's the whole point of this, is to discuss stuff, not to be learning things, but to be discussing things. So I'm hoping the courses, if you've done those prior to that, would be really helpful, right?
Super. Yeah, great point, Stella. So the funding, the Wednesday night hotel for Western Newfoundland delegates is funded, and Thursday night at the hotel there's a $50 voucher towards the room. For district conference or convention itself, the club will pay the registration for 2 people in a night. The district will pay travel and a half night's accommodation. And an expense sheet will be provided. Jeff Party is our district treasurer, and he will be there to answer any questions. I know from speaking with Jeff a number of times in my role as district secretary in the past for past district governor Tom McCaughey, and struggling to become a half-decent district trainer. Chatting with Jeff, folks have really maybe not been too clear about the volunteer nature, and people have submitted parking vouchers and people have submitted car rentals, hoping that the district would cover them, and it's pretty limited, the type of coverage that we can give. So if there's any questions about that, please don't hesitate to contact me and or Stella, and we'll get you in touch with Jeff Party, and he will explain what the district can cover and what the district cannot cover, because that's important information for people. And you know, we would expect that the club would help cover and defray any other costs that you have, because we want you there, and the district will do our part and meet your club halfway, we hope. So different education opportunities. It says Moncton here. I think it's going to be in Truro. Am I wrong?
No, you're correct.
Okay, so this slide needs to get fixed up, but anyway, we'll get these right one of these days. So we've got Fredericton, we've got October coming up for Leadership Institute. Not covering that in great detail, but will quickly say the Leadership Institute is one of the best ways that you can get just education about Rotary in general. It's separate from the district. It's a different group of people. Again, it can get confusing about all these different groups that are reaching out to give people education. But the district, of course, recognizes and encourages the Rotary Leadership Institute. We're huge fans, but it is something different from district, and we would certainly recommend anyone and everyone to attend.
We'll have we're trying to get one in Newfoundland.
Good point.
Trying to get a session in Newfoundland. Yeah, Catholic.
And that will be a great time. We'll try to get in a bit central, that's right, yeah. Breakout sessions, and as I had mentioned, you can go on YouTube and you can find those previous recordings from Pets and Sets sessions from before, so you can listen to those. Again, I'm not asking you to, but I just wanted to let you know that those were available there for you. And a link to all of these, it's available on your district website. So your assistant governor is going to be a key person in your life, a liaison, as it were, between district and your club. And a great person for you to get to know and develop a relationship with. They will convene the president council meetings. They will call into their clubs. Each AG has probably on average 5 to 6 clubs that they'll visit as many times as they can throughout the year. And they're definitely a resource if you need help, have a question, have a suggestion. That's your person to go to as well as Stella or myself. So we're not trying to break that relationship. We're trying to really foster that relationship between you and the assistant governor for sure. So a little bit about communication. I've heard this so many times, and all I can say is, yes, you are going to get a lot of email this year. And I don't know how it's going to be any different, but to just be completely upfront and honest with you and say you're going to get email from Rotary International. You're going to get the occasional email from Stella and or myself. But most of those emails through our district are going to come from the district admin office. So we've tried to streamline things a little bit for you to help you source and react to email. If your name is in the header of a district email, there's an action item for you. So if you're a mainline recipient, as opposed to a carbon copy, a CC recipient, then this is an informational email for you to know and figure out, from the body of the email and the type of information, who you should share that information with. And when you have communication going to the district, you should carbon copy your assistant governor. Look at all those abbreviations. But anyway, you should CC your assistant governor when you communicate with the district. And again, I'll just stress that there's a lot of email coming and going. And I think I'll surprise you with what I'm about to say, but we have heard feedback from our administrative office, the admin office as we often call them, that sometimes Rotarians may be in haste or just sheer frustration because they've contacted a number of different people and now they're going to the admin office. They have noted that the level of respect in some emails is sadly lacking. So I guess I would just say to folks that the admin office has your back. They want to see you be successful. They will help you if they possibly can. And we'd like to see everybody hitting that 4-way test with every email with that admin office. So I probably surprised you with that. I know I was quite surprised when I heard that from the admin office, but I think you would agree that I wouldn't be doing a good job as a trainer if I didn't share that tidbit of information with everybody. Social media sites, we're trying to be hip. I sometimes joke that I'm so old, I'm artificial hip, but anyway, there you go. We're trying to get involved and trying to attract, younger members who this is the way communication happens for them. So we have a Facebook site. We would like you to like us and become our friends on the Facebook site. We are on Twitter. Mark was awesome with Twitter. We have a few other Rotarians in the district I could name who are excellent on Twitter. I'm just a twit. I'm not so good with Twitter, but we do have a Twitter account. And again, we have our own district YouTube channel. You can subscribe to that, and again, anyone can subscribe to it, and you get access to the recorded events in the past.
And this one will be there, right? You're going to put this one there.
Yeah, with this one or Thursday, whichever one we like best. So, and this is where the font gets a bit faint there for us, but these are some bits of information that you'll want to have in your favorites. So Rotary International, to get to Rotary Club Central, rotary.org. I'm sure you've been there before, or if you haven't, you'll want to visit it very soon. District 7820 is rotary7820.com. To email the admin office, and they do their best. They won't necessarily answer instantly, but they'll get you answered certainly within 1 business day. So office Rotary District 7820 at gmail.com, which I have to admit I have not typed for years and years because I have it on I just type the word ADM and it auto-fills in my email because I send them so many emails and they are such huge helps. So Stella Roy, there's her phone number. Email rotarystella@gmail.com. And I put my work email there incorrectly. It's miriam.macleod@bellaliant.ca, not just .a. That's maroon there. Sorry about that. And I pop my home number there. If you call my home number and leave a voicemail, that shows up almost instantly in my work email, and I can hear that. I can check it, if I'm away on my BlackBerry. So I just felt it was a good number, and I am home on the rare occasion, and I will always answer the phone if I can. So that's why I pop my home number in there. So what's coming up? All kinds of good stuff. And we kind of remind you the same thing a couple of times here because we think it's so important. But let me just silence that call. So Rotary Club Central is found under Rotary.org, and go to that with your current president and club board. Bring your computer and your district book to pets. Visit the district and RI website. Sign up for member access. Bring a copy of your 2014-15 membership and foundation goals to pets at conference in Wolfville. And bring your pets and sets orientation manual, so that's your COIL booklet, to the conference in Wolfville, because we'll be referring to that. Oof. So, stuff you need to do with your president, look at that. How about them apples? 9 of them. Go to make sure you have member access. Make sure your president has member access. Enter the information in Rotary Club Central. Help get your club leadership team ready. Help establish your committees. Help establish your club priorities. Help plan the budget. Help develop project plans. And again, build your club's communications. So thank you so much. The next 2 presentations, I guarantee, will go pretty quickly for us. The first thing I wanted to show you is Rotary Club Central for Secretaries. And there's a couple of different items there for you. So there's not, all of these you will not need, but we're going to focus on the first 2. So Introduction to Rotary Club Central, and a little bit about how to enter goals. And again, you have access to these this slide presentation to look at later, and that's sort of the point of it. So here we go. Excuse me, you go to member access, you've logged in, and your name shows up here as John Q. Rotarian, or whoever you are. And then Rotary Club Central, this section there is to set the goals. So that's a pretty straightforward way to find that. They've spent a fortune on this website, really trying to make it as user-friendly as possible. I know there's lots going on in it, but I think a time or 2 you'll feel pretty comfortable in it. So Rotary Club Central, there's your goals and progress, and you can see how you're actually doing. It'll measure things for you from what you've put in with your goals and how things are going throughout the year. Next section takes us to the information, the view of your club. You see up here there are 3 tabs. This is your club, and you can see trends, for example, that are there over the past 5 years. So if we have been inputting that information that long, Rotary has been taking that information, amalgamating it for us, and putting it in graphic and different format. So when you scroll down, you see your goals and your progress, and you can see in particular how you've been able to do to retain your members, to keep Rotarians engaged, to keep communication with your club, and keep those public relations going strong. So those we'll call those major goals, and this will help you keep an eye on how those are going. Moving from the Your Club tab to the Service tab, this shows you a trend, giving you the breakdown of the impact that you've achieved from your club's service projects and activities over the past 3 years. These will measure things like the volunteers you have, put those volunteers into volunteer hours, cash donations, and in-kind donations. So you can see where this is going, really working to help quantify all the good work that we've been doing. Scroll down there and you can see service projects and activities, New Generations Club, and New Generations Participations. Those are the 3 main goals in this area, main goals I think for every club.
Miriam, can I talk to that slide 1 second?
Oh, sure, yeah. This one?
Just there's one back.
Oh.
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
Just to note the year. So so just you can see nobody entered anything for 2011-12, but they did. This is 2012-13. But you'll be entering for 13-14, but they'll be entering 14-15, right? When they'll be able to edit and enter. So the current president has to do this one, and then the next one will be them, and they'll be on the tab at the top. So just to get to the right tab for your year, I guess.
Right on. Yeah, that's a good point. And another good point, just while we're talking about the tabs there, you can actually go in on your year, say 2 years from now, and you can review that, and you can even make changes if you can imagine that, if need be. So I thought that was quite interesting that your credentials will give you access to your year even after your year has ended. Perfect. So foundation giving shows you about annual fund giving, polio plus giving, major gifts, and benefactors. And I don't know if we talked about this much before, but one of the things that District 7820 is working on is $1 million dinner to get funding for the Rotary Foundation. So we were hoping to get enough people around a table that would pledge $10,000 either as a bequest or $1,000 a year for 10 years, something like that. So just thought that was an interesting point to mention at this time, that District 7820 is all about the Rotary Foundation for sure. This slide shows you the resources that you have. That's what we'll be focusing on here. And you can get access to all kinds of things, publications, web pages, videos, all kinds of stuff you need to help you set goals. And usually it's about this time that I feel my head starts to swell and I think, how much flippin' stuff is out there for me to look at? And there is a lot, for sure. And I think the way that, just like social media, just like the World Wide Web, just like anything, there's a vast array of things that are there, and pick the things that make the most sense to you. Like Gary Kwong says, there's lots of stuff out in the world. Focus on the things that make the best sense for you. Focus on your skill set that feels natural for you. So, yeah, don't get overwhelmed. Just enjoy the party.
Then we'll be overwhelmed.
I know, it's totally overwhelming. I know. It's just like saying you're not going to get much email. You're going to get a ton of email, and occasionally you will feel overwhelmed. So we might as well be honest. You're right, Stella. So reports. This section will show you how you can get reports related to those 3 tabs of your club, service, and foundation giving. And this varies depending on your role. So a president, a secretary, a treasurer, a regular Rotarian, there's quite different reports. If I'm just going in as myself, for example, Miriam MacLeod, I'm not anything special in my club. I'm just a past president, has been, as Bob calls me. And so I can see reports on myself, but not my whole club. So there's something in there for everyone, for sure, not just, executive. The next, and really I'll call it final section that I will address, is entering goals. So there's club level goals, and those are the folks who can enter club level goals, and we also have district level goals, as you can well imagine, and those are the folks that can impact those. But remember, as I said, current, incoming, and immediate past officers can view all years and edit goals and achievement for their own year at any time, even after their year is over. So I'm going to show a couple of examples about how to enter club goals. You click on Edit. Anyone who can edit goals in that particular year can do this, and you will see a view that sees the goals in more detail, but not be able to, everyone else can see them, but not make any changes to the goals and achievement. So we hit Edit, and away we go. So for example, this type of information shows you Paul Harris. No, I think I'm looking at the wrong slide. Sorry, gang, I went too far. So this shows you the club communication and your strategic plan. And you can see how well things went with that. Do you have a strategic plan? Did you conduct the assemblies that you had hoped? that type of information. And the type of reporting, we'll say, shows up 4 ways. It can be numeric, it can be monetary, and whenever you see something in money, it's US dollars, which we'll hope to be on par with again soon, or not if we're exporters, I guess. They could be percentage goals, and they could be yes or no that you've met that goal. So goal several ways. So that's the end of Rotary Club Central. Again, I'm keeping my eye on the time, and I know we're only about 5 minutes away from the end of all my presentations. Can I just check and see if there's a question or a chat comment about what you've seen there? Okay, perfect. In the
I want to say, it's Diane Lagarde, that yes. It's really an eye-opener. I've been secretary many, many times, and anyway, you gals are doing a good job. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you for saying that, Diane. I was secretary only once, not that long ago, and boy, oh boy, I'm amazed how much online stuff has happened. I hear you, Diane. Lots of change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good.
Buckle up, right?
Right.
So finally, I want to just show you the Rotary Academy. And again, as I had mentioned previously, we're doing our best to respect your time and your schedules, and you can do it on your own time. So your login information, you get that from Jim Goit. You can upload a photo of yourself. It's fabulous. I'll show you how to do that. You put that in, you press login, and you get a presentation page that looks like this. So if we take a look at the profile section first, you can see Jim Goit's handsome photo. His name is there. He can change his password down here at the bottom, and he can put a picture, change your picture in there with this avatar. I love this. I don't know if people love that movie with the blue people, but anyway, change your avatar. You can put a picture of anything in there, I guess, by the looks of it. The next thing we'll look at are the courses. As I mentioned, there are 6 courses. Very simple to begin. You can leave the course in the middle and it'll show you the progress bar, how much of the course that you've done. As Stella mentioned, we'd love you to have those courses done in time for the Pets and Sets training on May the 21st. Is that right?
I can't remember. I don't have my calendar.
Anyway, May 20th something. Yes, the Thursday. Thank you. Again, I'm going to recommend that secretaries really focus on Rotary Club Central, really focus on effective Rotary Club administration. I would suggest those might be courses you want to do twice, maybe once before a district conference and maybe once again in the month of June or early July, just to refresh your skills on that, because it is only a year, then you're really good at it, and then we put somebody new in the job. So nothing wrong with that picture. Anyway, you hit begin and away you go. You'll notice here in the bottom of the page is a little play bar. It should start automatically. In the early days of these courses happening, we learned that folks using their iPads had to press play on every slide. But I think that has been resolved in later editions and releases. So I just mentioned that to you in case you run into that. So it shows you how many seconds of talk there is on that slide. You'll hear Jim Goit's voice a lot and his wife Barbara, and they worked like troopers to get those 6 courses out to us, and we can't recognize them enough. They've done super work, incredible commitment to get this done. So for folks who are big picture learners, you can click on the table of contents and you will see everything roll out in front of you in terms of what the slides are all about. And then once you get into the actual course, I love this. You can see that there's actually embedded YouTube videos right there in the middle of the presentation. You can click right on it. It does not take you out of the course. And to enlarge it to fit your screen, there's that little tiny image in the bottom. Reminds me of those old-fashioned photos that you'd slip into a photo album behind those little black ears there that would hold it in place. You click that and it will fill your page. and you can enjoy the video. You see, this one's only 3 minutes and 30 seconds long, and that's typical. They're not long videos. You're not going to be watching a whole lot of stuff, but it does keep it a very dynamic and interesting presentation, and I'm really looking forward to hearing your feedback on these courses. And there's also the link that will take you out of the presentation. It won't shut it down. It'll take you out right to the YouTube site. So finally, my last words of advice to you are, if you need help when using this course, there is an email that says, I want to email the instructor because you have a question about the material. You think it could be worded differently, or we're missing something, or what have you. But if you have technical problems, I get you to note this person, Justin at velsoft.com. He is our technical support person, and he will help you if you have problems with your experience online with those 6 courses.
Yeah, that slide didn't come up.
What slide didn't come up? You can't see anything?
Justin Brophy.
You can't see it?
Mine's out.
Oh, I'm sorry, then my computer's gone funny. Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay. Wow, excellent. No worries. Stella, you know that slide, so I'm not going to worry about you. Yeah, that's great. I'm glad folks can see that. And happily, you can also see, I can click to escape, and I can let you escape. I've taken an hour and 15 minutes of your Saturday morning. I'm not in a rush, so if we have questions or comments, I'll invite those to stay. If those who are a little bit nervous that I've kept you this long, you're more than welcome to drop off. I wish you Godspeed. Any questions or comments from the floor? Toinette, excited to get familiar with you. Still a little overwhelmed. God bless you. Let's click that and see the whole thing. A little overwhelmed and feel a lot more reassured. Toinette, I'm so happy to read that. A little bit of fear, a little bit of stress sometimes pushes us to do our best performance. I'm sure those Olympians there in Sochi were not sitting there cool and calm just before the whistle blew, but I hear you, and we did all the best that we could do, again, to respect your time and to respect funds and get the information out to you. So I'm really happy that you're happy, Toinette. Stuff.
I think doing it online is a smart way to go. It's a lot more flexible, and of course, a whole lot cheaper.
I'm a Scottish girl. I don't know if you noticed my last name is MacLeod, Daryl. So we're all about doing stuff in the cheapest way we can. If we could get coupons, we would give the coupons out to you for sure. Save 50 cents.
We are giving them coupons at the conference for a night.
That's right. Yeah. Amy, thanks so much for your message. We thank you for joining, and there is indeed a busy year ahead.